Melissa, how are you
Hi,
today?
I'm well, Catherine. How are you doing?
Doing well. Excited to be here and share some information about how to use the power of the mind to accelerate physical healing,
Mm, I
which I
know
think,
many people that could use that.
ah, I've used it. And that's really, I've used it probably on myself more than I've even used it with clients. So let me start by saying I have been a professional patient most of my life.
Mm,
It's an odd thing to think about, but I started having surgery at 10 months.
mm,
Orthopedic condition. They
okay.
did a little procedure and put me in a body cast. And so over the years, I've had lots of experiences because of the orthopedic condition I started with, a lot of experience with surgery to repair that.
Okay.
And many of those surgeries, well, actually by the mid 90s, I'd already undergone 17 surgical procedures.
Oh my goodness.
I know it's too many, isn't it?
It's too many.
It's too many. Sometimes I tell people when they say I've never had surgery, I say to them, "Oh, I've had one of yours. Don't worry. You're good." I think I used your quota too. Because really, with the number I've had, you've got to have a sense of humor. Because
Hmm.
otherwise, it will not go well for you. It's going to set my timers so that I don't get carried away here. All right, that's going. So then somewhere, let's see, when would that have been? Right after I left my day job, I broke my distal femur. Yeah. And learned something from that fracture. Physical pain can be intense, can be humbling, it can be all consuming. But I'd already learned that. What I didn't know in those previous surgeries is that I could use the power of my mind to accelerate the healing and to reduce and sometimes almost eliminate the physical pain. In fact, I had a colleague come over, I invited her to come over, please do a session with me to make me more comfortable as this broken leg heals. And I said to her, I want you to give me a suggestion that I'm completely comfortable while it heals, because I already know it's broken. I don't need the warning. Pain is just a warning. Don't walk on it yet. Don't put on full weight until the doctor says to.
Hmm.
Well, I know that. So as long as I agree to do that. So I said, please give me that suggestion. And she said, she wasn't really comfortable with that, giving me that. So I said to her, listen, I can just say it to myself. I am, after all, also a hypnotherapist, and I know how this works. So she said, all right. So the agreement we made with my subconscious was that I would stay off and behave myself and stay off that leg. And if I got up and did too much, that I could have a little warning. And that warning said, get off your feet, elevate your leg. And then I didn't need the warning anymore and I could be comfortable again. And that worked so well. And then I went to see the orthopedic doctor toward the end of my recovery. And she said, she looked at my x ray and she said, you're making new bone like gangbusters. She said, what are you doing? Well, what was I doing? I was using my imagination and I was imagining in self hypnosis every day that I had a tube of bone glue and I'd have a fresh tube every day because it's my imagination. And I would squeeze that tube of bone glue across where it was broken to seal it up. And I did that every day for 30 days. And at the end of 30 days, went into hypnosis, waited to have my fresh tube, and I have no more tubes of bone glue. And I'm thinking to myself, how can you run out of imaginary bone glue? Seriously, how do you run out? But I,
Well,
nothing, go ahead.
you didn't need it anymore?
That's exactly it. I thought I must not need it
Hmm.
because it's just gone. And then a couple days later, that's when I had the x-ray with the doctor. And she said, you're making new bone like gangbusters.
Wow.
And it was so simple. You know, that visualization while I was in hypnosis took me 30 seconds, maybe a minute. There's the tube, squeeze it, move on. That's
Hmm.
it. And at the end of 30 days, now I've done this with other, because I've had lots of surgery. I did it when I had another hip surgery, had my hip joint revised, not replaced, revised, which is a lot bigger deal, sadly. And I imagined for that one, what was my visualization for that one? I imagined something that accelerated the healing. And I went to see the doctor and he took an x-ray and he's looking at my x-ray and he said, well, he said, you're healing so well, you don't have to come back for 6 months. Now he said, it's been 6 months since your surgery. I said, it's been 3. He said, you're healing so well, you don't have to come back for 6 months.
Wow.
And I said, so I can send myself out dancing in 3 months? Because he said no dancing for 6 months.
Okay.
So I can make my own decision about when I start going back to go dancing. And he said, without missing a beat, he said, you can come back in 3. He would be the deciding one to say whether or not my hip was ready,
Oh,
healed
okay. All
enough
right.
to be able to go dancing.
Okay.
But again, it was really simple. And what I like about this whole process, I'm not consciously thinking of what's going to work. I'm just letting my imagination show me. What's interesting when I do this kind of thing with my clients, they'll say, well, you're the expert. You tell me what a good image might be. I'm not the expert on them. And you know what? I found a lot of my clients are more creative about their own lives than I would be. So they come up with the imagery to accelerate the healing. And I would say, considering the number of times I've done this successfully, I would have to say that it's accelerated my healing by 50%.
That's a great statistic.
Isn't it? Oh, and I did that when I broke my wrist. People must think I'm a klutz by now, but fell in my garage. Don't do that, people. Fell in my garage and broke my wrist. And the doctor said, apparently his nurse said he's a perfectionist. And he said to me, this won't heal perfectly unless you have surgery. And in my mind, I'm thinking, here's what I'm doing in my mind, because I've had a lot. And I'm sitting in his office going silently, surgery, 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 surgery. I'm panicked. I am just panicked. And all I'm thinking of is surgery. He wants to do surgery. So he said, well, you're hesitating. You must want the count. I'm not thinking of the cast. I'm thinking, that's it. So I put the cast on, gave me some instructions, went back, and I don't remember how long it was, went back to have that cast off, have an x-ray. He's going to recast it. That's his plan. And he was so excited. I did visualization for that one, just like I do for all of them. And he came back after looking at my x-ray and he said, come see this. He said, you were right to turn down the surgery. He said, you've healed perfectly.
That's incredible, Katherine.
Isn't it? And here's the thing, though, and everybody really needs to hear this. This isn't something I can do because I'm any different than anybody else. Every single person can use their imagination to do similar things for themselves. 100%.
Yeah, because imagination is more important than fact, especially in hypnosis.
Yeah, it absolutely is. So I know before I had that major hip surgery that there were some mantras I used that helped, that I'll pass along because I want our audience to know that the words we say to ourselves also make a difference. So I
Yes.
had 2 mantras that I said because I had 3.5, 4 months. I made the date for the surgery, and then the doctor said, well, you're in danger of a stress fracture. He said, so he wanted to book it as soon as possible, which was 5 weeks. And that was too long in his mind. And I said, single, self-employed, no disability insurance. I can't have it now. I said, I'll tell you what, I can have it middle of June. We're talking in early February. I'm telling him we can do it in June. He's not happy. And because I had a couple of conferences to go to, and these were going to bring in money, single and self-employed. Nobody's going to be paying me.
Yeah, unfortunately, we do have to consider those things sometimes.
We do. So I postponed it. And I also knew that I couldn't postpone it. My intuition said, do not push this past June. But because I had so much time to think about it, I was a little panicked, even with the self-hypnosis. So I would remind myself every day, I'd say to myself, I'm not this body. Nothing that happens to this body happens to who I really am, my spirit. And I would say, this too shall pass.
Mm.
And those help me feel more grounded, that calm me down.
Mm-hmm.
I highly recommend having a positive phrase that really helps. Now, that doesn't mean that I denied that there was going to be pain. And it doesn't mean I pretended that procedures weren't happening, but I was more accepting. And I knew, because I'd gotten through a lot of other, not even just surgeries, I've gotten through a lot of other life events. And who hasn't?
Mm-hmm.
And I made it through those. So if I made it through all the others,
So far, you have 100% success rate.
yes, I do. I'm still here, and I'm more resilient than I've ever been,
Mm-hmm.
because that's what happens. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Isn't that the phrase?
Yes, and oftentimes when someone has a pattern in their life, they're meant to teach on it. And here
Yes,
you are.
here I am. Because now at this point, I still have one left. I have a cataract that needs to come out, but it's not quite, I guess, ripe enough. I don't know what the term is. It's not developed enough to be removed according to the insurance. But without that one, I'm pretty sure I'm up to 25 surgical surgeries.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. Which is why I've had some for a few others, clearly.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, and this is something that those listening can also do. It's pretty simple. Even if you get some looks, it doesn't matter. With one of them, I took in a list of positive suggestions and took it into surgery with me, my printed list. And so the anesthesiologist, he comes to see you in the room before they take you into surgery. And I said, well, here's my list. I said, while I'm in the under anesthesia, I said, I would like you to read these positive suggestions to me. And he rolled his eyes, and I thought, oh, here we go. And I said, you know what? You don't have to believe in this. All I want you to do is read them. I said, I believe it, and that's all that matters. And what one of the things that said on there is that I would be comfortable. Unless I overdid it, I would remain comfortable, because that pain is just a signal. Now, the word pain is a problem when you're recovering, because I had an experience with that. I came out of anesthesia, I'm in the recovery room, and I was feeling very comfortable. I programmed myself ahead of time. I'm comfortable. I'm still under the effects of the anesthetic to a degree. The nurse came over and she said, how much pain are you having? My first thought was, pain? Pain? I have that.
Oh, yes.
So she offered me pain meds, and I took them. And then I got home, and that was an arthroscopic knee surgery. And I got home and I thought, why did I think I needed pain meds? I programmed myself for weeks ahead of time to be comfortable after that surgery, because the doctor had said to me, this can be a really painful procedure. And at first I thought, la, 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 don't say that to me. But then I thought, I do need to know that, so that I can counteract that with my positive suggestions.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I did.
So
And
why do you think it was so fast for you to fall back into that, her suggestion that you needed pain meds?
because I wasn't completely out of the anesthetic.
Uh,
And we will, because the word pain has meaning for us, we will
mm-hmm.
associate immediately into the pain. If she
Mm-hmm.
had said the word discomfort, I think I would have been fine. But
Mm-hmm.
because she said pain, and believe me, growing up with an orthopedic condition, I grew up in a lot of pain until I had my first surgery at my first major hip surgery at 19. I was out of school some days, and I was taking aspirin like candy some days,
Mm-hmm.
because I was in a lot of pain. So I definitely can associate into pain like that.
Mm-hmm.
So the healthcare providers also need to be trained into what words to use, so that we're not triggered into that discomfort. Have them rate levels of comfort and discomfort.
Mm-hmm.
Makes more sense. And if you notice the scale they give you, the pain rating scale is 1 to 10, I think. Does anybody want to acknowledge that it could also be 0? I could have 0
Mm-hmm.
discomfort. They don't
Mm-hmm.
offer you 0. I tell them, well, I'm 0. Mm-mm. Completely comfortable. It's just all pain is, it's just a warning.
Mm-hmm.
You want
Well,
to have it.
I like at the beginning you were talking about how, your imagination gave you, what was really interesting to me was how you thought about what you were going to experience and how you created a visualization to kind of be the opposite of what you suspected you might. And I imagine that's going to be different for everybody.
It is.
And you work with clients in this field. So do you then tell them what your experience was in case they, if they're saying, I can't think of anything, do you?
I do. I will offer some ideas. And what I love about offering them ideas from my experience, they don't like them. 90% of the time they say no, 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 but it unsticks them. And then they do know. And really, I'm not asking their conscious mind. I'm not asking them to come up with an image until they're in hypnosis, because then they're engaged with their imagination. But even in
Mm-hmm.
hypnosis, they'll say, well, I don't have any ideas. And then I just say, well, what if? And I start ticking things off. And they say, no, no, no. Oh, and then it's like a door opens and they do know. And sometimes I'll
They do
ask them,
know.
if you did know, what would that?
I love that phrase. If
Don't
you
you?
did know,
Yeah.
yes.
And
And usually it gets them there.
it does. And I remember now what it was, the image that came up, which was so interesting when I had the hip surgery, major reconstruction. Uh, I was crocheting there in my mind. There was sticky webbing they'd put in bone grafts, so there was sticky
Okay.
webbing from the new bone that put in there, and sticky webbing coming off the existing bone, and I crocheted them together. And it was so sticky that it was kind of icky to do it. Then I
All right.
found out down the road, here's the thing that's really fascinated me. Down the road, I learned that we have sticky webbing on our bones.
We do have sticky webbing on our bones. So your
I
intuition knew exactly what to do.
see.
Your body's been telling you the whole time, this is how
Yes.
you do it. You glue your bones back together. You're going to use your sticky webbing and it's going to work.
And it did work. It did work. I recovered from that surgery. This was the longest recovery I think I've ever had. I was 10% weight bearing for 4 months.
Ooh,
Yeah.
that's hard to just
That's
touch
just
your toe on the floor.
that's just laying your foot on the floor. That is not putting weight
Uh-huh.
on it, because they have you
Yeah.
put your foot on a scale. It's 10% of your body weight. And I did think,
Okay.
oh, that's nothing. That's nothing,
It's nothing. It's tapping your toe on the floor.
pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah. I've had labrum surgery in my hip, same hip twice, and that was like a 20% weight bearing. And that was really just challenging. Like, is this 20%? Is that, to
Yeah.
try to get the feel of that down is tricky. So,
It really is. But it's works so well. It works for reducing inflammation, for how we're perceiving our discomfort, tissue repair. That's the thing I wish I had done a better job when I broke my femur. I've broken my femur twice now.
mm,
I need really working now to stay upright. But the first time, what I didn't do that looking back now I would do differently, I got the bone to heal quickly. I forgot about the muscles, nerves, and tendons. So that's another piece that I think would behoove people to put in. The way I got back that worked even better than physical therapy, I took up country dancing.
mm,
And in country dancing in particular, you have to have your weight on the correct leg at the correct time, because there's a pattern to those dances. And
I
if you
used to do that,
understand,
Catherine.
hmm?
I used to do line dancing.
It's fun, isn't it?
Uh-huh. Very fun.
And it's the best exercise ever. I lost inches, and it's the
Uh-huh.
best
It's
shape I've
great.
ever been in. Yeah,
It's
I
great.
highly recommend dancing as the best exercise ever. Yeah. So I think we've covered everything. What other thoughts or questions do you have?
Yeah. Do you remember what you used to think of to knit your muscles, tendons, and nerves?
Well, no, I didn't do anything because I just left that piece out altogether.
Oh, okay. So you didn't think of something later.
No, no, it was
But
neither time.
we we know if you needed it, it would have come up for you.
I think so.
Yeah. Maybe just working on the bones is what you were supposed to do at that time.
I think so. That was the major part that needed to heal. And I think the other piece really is lifestyle. I did what the doctor said. ate a healthy diet. Because here's an interesting, when I had one of my hip revisions when I was 19, I had a boyfriend come over and he brought me a box of See's candy, which is very kind of him. It smelled so sweet that I told my mother, you and dad eat that. It made me a little nauseous. So
Oh,
the whole
wow.
time I was in that major recovery phase, I didn't eat it. I didn't want sugar anywhere near me. My body's saying that won't help you heal. All I
Hmm.
wanted was lean meat and lots of green salads and vegetables. I wanted a really healthy diet, and I couldn't tolerate anything that didn't promote health. And I consider that to be intuitive eating. So my
Yes,
body
that
is
is
telling me
intuitive
what to
eating.
eat
Hmm.
that will promote recovery.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So you were using yours for recoveries and for some other instances that happened in your life. Do people come into you specifically for this problem, or is this just something that comes up at times and you discuss or have a session here or there?
It comes up periodically. What comes up more with my clients, they'll come in for pre and post surgery
Mm,
so they can be calm when they go into the surgery. And
mhm,
then since they're there for that, then I can work with them ahead of time on how quickly they'll accelerate that healing after they've completed
mhm,
the surgery.
mhm,
Yeah. Because I did have a session with someone before one of those surgeries. Because they used to give you drugs before they took you into the operating room, and now they don't. Now you're wide
hmm.
awake and alert.
This is
Yay.
true.
And you're looking around going, oh no, where am I? No, no. And it's cold. So I had a session with someone ahead of time, and I went in and I looked around and I thought, oh, what's that? Oh, look, I was just open and curious. I was not the least bit nervous.
Mm,
But that's something that hypnotherapy can really help people with. If they're anxious about surgery, definitely have an appointment with a hypnotherapist and you can walk the client through the whole thing, because not everybody has the kind of experience in hospitals that, let's say, that I've had, because I've had so
mhm,
much of it my whole life. So for somebody who's never had surgery, walking them through what to expect in each piece of that process, being admitted, changing into the gown, the whole thing, and then coming out on the other side and you're fine,
mhm.
and you're eating a healthy diet and you're getting enough rest and you're following instructions. I used to say, I live in here. The doctor would say, do this or don't do that. And I'd say, I live in here. I think I know what to do. And then I reached a point finally where I was able to say, what do you think I should do? And the doctor said, oh, you think I have some idea? Maybe my medical knowledge would help you. Well, yes, maybe that would help me. So I started
Well, yeah,
listening.
yeah, you take in what they say. I always have an internal yes or no immediately when I hear advice from
Yes,
someone else, even if it's medical advice. It's going to have to get filtered through what I know about myself.
yes.
And I have always said, oh, yes, I need that. What you just said, yes. But I always know if that's not the right answer. And I don't necessarily say anything to them at that moment, but I'll take some time to go collect and do, my background research. But I know right away if there's,
And you know what? I just saw this the other day again. The body never lies.
it does not lie. No, it always tells the truth. It's always speaking to us, always.
Mm-hmm.
We could go into a whole nother podcast about that, Catherine.
We could. Yeah, it never, I check in with my body all the time.
Uh-huh.
You get
Yeah,
that.
I mean, it really is speaking to you. I mean, if you have a headache, sit down and ask your body, okay, head, what do you have to say to me? You're going to get an answer. And
Mm-hmm.
most of the time, we just talk ourselves out of whatever that soft, instantaneous answer is because it's usually too simple.
Yeah. And that's the key, that it's the truth.
Hmm.
When it's that simple, it's the truth.
Hmm.
It's years ago when my daughter was still growing up, there was something I needed to say to her that I didn't want to because it was gonna, teenager. So I was postponing it, got a sore throat.
Oh, yes.
Oh, I know what this is about. Spoke my truth to my daughter, and what a surprise. Sore throat went away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's constantly speaking like that. And when you were sitting down to get your ideas to use for your body healing, the it just spoke to you what it needed.
Yes.
we it would be wonderful if human beings were encouraged to have a language, to have conversation with their body,
Hmm.
and stop just saying how wrong it is and how much it hurts and all the negative language that we're just
Hmm.
conditioned to use, saying things like, how wonderful your body, like even like really, Catherine, I'm sure you do this. Gratitude exercises for your body. Look at all
Hmm.
that it has been through and look how
Hmm.
amazing it is, either because of or in spite of, it doesn't matter. Look
That's
how
right.
amazing your body is.
And of all these surgeries I've had on my legs, I still think I have kind of cute little legs. I congratulate them for being kind of cute still.
I bet you do. I haven't seen you in person yet, but I bet you do it. I'll see you in July at the Hypno Thoughts.
Yep, I wear slacks most of the time, but I have underneath they have scars on them, but that doesn't matter. I still have because I'm physically active, so they're muscular.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
No, I'm
Wonderful.
that's what I focus on. That's what and the fact that I'm grateful that I can walk and not be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Very grateful.
Yeah. Yeah. There's so many good things about our bodies. It's regenerating cells every second. Like its entire job is to heal and keep
Yes.
going. And it does a magnificent job.
Well, the thing that I always come back to, and this is true for every one of us, our bodies have been designed to heal themselves.
Yes. Yes, they have.
They just need certain conditions under which that will accelerate or move in the correct direction. Take care of your body
Hmm.
and
And it will
listen to
do,
it.
yes, and it will do
Mhm.
what it's supposed to do.
It will.
Ah, it's amazing. And then you give it some assistance with your imagination and your mantras and your positive thoughts and positive energies and good food, good rest. And man,
Yeah.
it's a whole new ball game.
I'll tell you what, I've become a really good sleeper over the years because as I get older, I realize that if I don't get a good night's sleep, I'm going to start looking my actual age.
We can't have that.
Absolutely not. I think most people out there can relate to that. You get to
Hmm.
an age, it's like, oh no, I look my age today because I'm tired.
Yeah, I woke up like that this morning. I was like, oof, I don't think I slept very well last night.
Yeah.
Oh well.
Do that 4-7-8 breathing we learned. That
Right.
that thing really worked.
478 breathing comes from the conference we had. Amy Neighbor taught us how to breathe. And Catherine and I were chatting about that a little bit earlier. So add breath work into your life too. The body really appreciates all the extra
Oh,
oxygen.
100%. Yep. Well, look at you know what brings up a thought of opera singers
Mm,
because they have such breath control and
hmm.
they are very healthy very late in life
Hmm.
because
Yeah.
they've learned to breathe properly.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Something to think about. All right. Well, I think we've covered this pretty well. I hope we've inspired some people to start listening and working with their bodies a little different.
Yeah, I love it. It's been a great conversation.
Great. Right. Until next time.
Until next time, see you later.